What's up, guys? Today we're talking about training for a marathon. I'm going to give you 5 absolutely essential tips to not only survive this thing, but to enjoy it and to perform at your best. So absolutely essential tip number 1 is you need to start your marathon training with a good level of fitness, right? Already in the bank. And we do this for a few reasons. One, the 16 to 20 weeks, the 4 to 5 months that you see most marathon training programs is it's too short of a time to have a significant margin of error. And what I mean is we need to be pretty dialed in with our ability to handle certain running, to have our schedule for the week dialed in. We know which days our body likes to run what, to figure out what shoes our body likes to run in, what clothes our body likes to run in. We need to figure out what our hot spots are to how to manage them ahead of time. We need to have a lot of that figured out before we jump headlong into this 16 to 20 weeks, because if we don't, I guarantee you it's going to take us longer than a day or two to figure things out, and that's going to vastly get us off course for a marathon, and then just put us into a stressed out situation that gets us away from why we were running for this marathon in the first place, which was presumably to make some friends, have some fun, and get a little fitness along the way. So my bare minimum here is 4 weeks of training where I'm running at least 3 to 4 days a week. I've got some slightly different style runs in there, a run that's a little bit longer. I've got a run where I'm working on maybe a little bit of speed work. This could be some short hills. It could be some little strides on the grass or on a bike path or running path. A day where I focus on my strength training or in my technique as well. I said strength training, we don't always include that in running, but we do at the Run Experience. So having some days in there too, where basically I have a month before my program, I kind of dial in broad brushstrokes, the shape of what my program is going to look like, and I get things pretty dialed in. So I know how my body's feeling with running. I know the shoes I'm going to run in. I know the technique drills that I need to work on. I know if my calves are the things that I'm going to need to manage through this next, 16 weeks, or if it's going to be my knees or something else. I have some of those things figured out before I try this whole marathon thing. So that's absolutely essential tip number 1. All right, guys, this next absolutely essential tip is that it's less about the long run than you think, and it's more about how you distribute your miles through the whole week. But before we get into that, I want to tell you about this free downloadable comprehensive marathon guide that we've created just for you. All you need to do to get it, and all the incredible tips that are packed in there on how to approach your race. All you need to do is click this link in this video. If you happen to be on a mobile device, go ahead and hit that link down in the description. It's just going to take you to a page where once you're there, you just enter your name and your email, and you'll be able to get that totally comprehensive, totally free downloadable guide. Now, back to our tips around the long run. Now, a lot of times when we're new runners, that run on the weekend definitely gets the gold star. It doesn't just get one, it usually gets 3 gold stars. And that's the run that we most look forward to. For a lot of us, especially if it's the first marathon, every week we're running further than we've ever run before. And that's a very exciting time. It's also a time that a lot of us don't necessarily run alone. We get to run with some of our friends. We get to run and talk together, and we really get to build some camaraderie. So it's a really special run. But what happens is that too often we emphasize this one run over the rest of the others. And we can very easily get into this little loop where we do this one run, and then it takes us like 6 days to recover before we run again. Now, I'm here to tell you that with running, with marathon running, to really build ourselves up, we want to not emphasize that run as much, but we want to distribute our mileage throughout the week. And what that does is a few things. One, running consistently, doing maybe less on that one day, but distributing that mileage throughout the whole week actually keeps us, our quality of our runs a little higher because we're not beat down as much. So it keeps us a little bit safer, it keeps us a little happier, it keeps us a little bit healthier as we're running. The other thing it does is it gives us an opportunity to build other aspects of our run that's crucial for that marathon. Not just the ability to survive the distance, but the ability, for example, to run a little bit faster, to work on some tempo intervals, to work on some hill and some speed and some track work, to work on some technique. And if I can sort of build out my mileage this way, all of a sudden when I start to add mileage to my program, my body is much more able to handle it. It's much more resilient, and all of a sudden I can go towards this thing in a little bit better fashion. So it's not just about that long run, it's about the rest of your running too. Think about distributing that mileage a little more evenly and not piling it all in on this one day. All right, and our next essential tip is going to be preparation for when something goes wrong, because it's not if we fall, but when. And the thing I like to say to my athletes, both in the marathon and the training up to the marathon, is just the dang thing is too long for nothing to go wrong in the process, right? The odds of everything aligning perfectly and the planets to stay aligned perfectly for your 16 to 20 weeks is kind of crazy. So rather than wait for something bad to happen first, be panicked and stressed, not know what to do, get off course, not know how to get back on course, not know how to figure out what's going wrong, all those precious days and weeks I lose, let's have an action plan to start with. And the way we're gonna build our action plan is to build a little bit of mobility and injury prevention work into our program before we get hurt. What a crazy revelation. Imagine if we were to start to work on our body before there was pain. Now, the one area that I want to show you today how to work on is going to be on your quads and your IT band, because I guarantee you every runner's quads and IT are way tighter than they think. Now, I'm going to show you a very specific strategy with this roller, and I'm going to talk about the quad, but I'm going to talk about this outer quad, this vastus lateralis, because a lot of times we just roll this way back and forth here. We can get into some spots, but our IT band is actually pretty darn thick, and itself is usually not the problem. The problem is where this outer quad gets sticky and adheres to this IT band, and this hamstring adheres to this IT band, and we can come across these little lumps, these Easter egg sized knots that we need to get out. So I'm gonna start on my side, just like this. And I'm gonna do some north-south rolling just to get a sense of the lay of the land back and forth. But as soon as I'm on a tight spot like I am right now, all of a sudden I'm gonna transition to east-west rolling. And one of the things I'm working on when I roll this way is that I'm actually peeling this quad off of the IT band. I'm really trying to separate this. All these fibers run this way. By working across this way, I can start to pull them apart, and I can start to get some of those sticky parts unstuck. And I'm gonna spend, 2-3 minutes per outer quad going all the way from my hip, because we can experience, IT band and quad and knee pain in different places. We could experience it up here, we could experience it in the middle, and of course the other classic place is outside this knee. 2 to 3 minutes per side. If I'm healthy, I'm gonna do this 2-3 days a week no matter what, because I'm marathon training, the abuse is ratcheting up every single week. That's so important. If I happen to be behind the 8 ball in the respect I'm dealing with some pain, I'm gonna be doing something like this every single day. And you can imagine replacing IT band work for calf work, for Achilles work, for your feet, for your shins, for any body part that tends to be your particular problem spot. And believe me, I've yet to meet the runner who doesn't have a problem spot. So find yours, get working on it, build that into your action plan, and you're gonna stay ahead of this thing all the way through your training. So our next absolutely essential tip for marathon training is actually going to be to run with a group, to leverage some time running with other runners. And we're gonna do that for a few reasons. One, 16 to 20 weeks, that usual length of a program, is really long to go alone. It's the worst. I've done this before. I've trained for a marathon, an ultra marathon by myself years ago up in Maine. I was on this lonely coastal island where my parents were living at the time when I was in college, and I just did all these long runs alone. I just ran out of music to listen to. It just got really boring. And I actually almost quit in the process because I was so burned out, because I didn't have that training partner to pull me through when I was going through that low spot. Right? I didn't have that person to motivate me to get me going on that hill run or that speed run that I needed to do. So every once in a while, once or twice a week, having a group to run with is so great. It's just a nice way to freshen things up. Those long runs, it helps you pass the talk test. That's a great way that when we do our long runs, a lot of times we run them a little fast, and that we should be able to speak relatively easily in full sentences all the way through. So if I run with another buddy, preferably someone who's my speed or even a little slower, that's gonna keep me in that safe zone for those long runs. Conversely, if I'm going out and I'm really trying to build my speed, I'm trying to prove myself, it's good to hang out with some runners who are a little on the swifter side than you. So some people to chase, especially on those shorter intervals, are great. Be it on the hills, be it on the track, that is fantastic. The one thing that we want to avoid is chasing those faster runners all the time, especially on those long runs or even the speed work, because that faster running comes at a cost. Every once in a while it's fun to really reach, but as I said, it can beat us up, it can grind us up and chew us out. So especially in those long runs, every once in a while it's fun to chase that faster friend, but in all reality, it's a good idea to use the long runs in the group to have fun, to enjoy, to stay slow, especially in the beginning, and conversely to use that group on the faster days to up the pace, up the intensity, to push yourself to a place that you've never been before. All right, guys, our last essential tip for marathon training, cross training is not a dirty word. It is not something that we, only do if we're hurt or anything else. It's actually something that's imperative for us to maintain not only as runners, but as moving, functioning, happy, healthy human beings. We need to use our hips, we need to use our shoulders, we need to challenge ourselves physically in different ways. We need to take our body through full ranges of motion, because I tell you what, if you can build a stronger body, a more athletic one, you are naturally going to run better. Running becomes such an easier nut to crack, such an easier problem to solve, because that body's already there. The problem becomes when my body becomes weak and broken down and my range of motion is limited, my coordination is gone, my strength is gone, my posture is crap. All of a sudden I'm trying to give you these run technique tips that we can never really reinforce because the body just can't move that way. So we need some strength training and some cross training in there. Now, cross training is also just not the elliptical reading People magazine, right? That's not the same thing. For me, I'm pretty agnostic when it comes to cross training, but it does need to do a few things. It does need to take my body through those full range of motion. It does need to challenge my midline stability, my ability to maintain some strength and stability mechanics through the spine. It needs to teach me some new skills, like how to balance on one arm or one leg a little bit better, how to keep everything level, all the skill sets I need for my running. Now, this could be through strength, barbell work, kettlebell work. It could be with TRX straps, all depending. It could be in a yoga type situation. But in all honesty, we probably want things diverse and mixed up a little bit. Now, I could do a lot of body weight stuff, but I just happen to have a kettlebell with me because, hey, we happen to have a kettlebell hanging out around TRE HQ. And so what I want to do are just some different things with this. And I'm just going to show you basically two different things we can do here. One is just going to be a little squat with this kettlebell, and then the other thing I'm going to show you is a little single leg deadlift and deadlift with this kettlebell. Now, with this squat, what I'm going to work on is holding this kettlebell up here in this goblet style position. I prefer to hold these little handles this way. This could also work with a dumbbell, or if I'm just squatting, I wouldn't even need to use anything. I could just do a body weight. I'm going to think about my feet in a shoulder width stance or a little bit wider. My toes are turned out a little bit, and as I initiate this movement, I'm going to push my hips back. My knees are naturally going to go out a little bit. I'm going to go as low as I can as feels comfortable. Stand up tall, squeeze the belly, squeeze the butt. Drop down, up tall, squeeze the belly, squeeze the butt. And one of the things that's challenging, because I'm breathing hard, about holding this kettlebell up here is that it forces my chest to be really upright, which is a fantastic thing for my ability to run upright when I'm running, for my posture. In other words, I get rounded here and things get a little ugly. I'm going to do a set of 10 squats holding there. The next thing I'm going to work on is going to be a little single leg deadlift with this kettlebell. I like this exercise because this is going to challenge my balance, really work on my stability in my ankle, whereas the squat got me going through a fuller range of motion. This one is going to be more about balance and stability and keeping my hips level. I'm going to work on this little hinge, kicking my leg back behind, coming back up tall to a standing position. Now in the beginning, sometimes this single leg one is tricky, so we just want to remember this two-legged deadlift position where I'm going to hinge over, drop down, come up tall. We like this teeter-totter, and I know I'm skipping around back and forth. We like this teeter-totter as this good running specific exercise, but we need to remember that the single leg deadlift has its roots in the regular deadlift. The regular deadlift is me just picking up something off the ground, right? This is optimal mechanics. My back is nice and straight. How do I hinge over? So I load up my hamstrings, I drop down, I grab this thing, and then I stand. And it doesn't matter if it happens to be a kettlebell, my luggage, my child, whatever it is, I want to be there. And notice that when I'm in this position, everything's aligned, I don't get in trouble here. I get in trouble when I've got my cell phone in my ear and I've got my grocery bag and I'm bent over in some way trying to pick up something off the ground, and I do this 10 billion times throughout the year. That's where the back gets in a little trouble. So I'm here, everything's aligned, boom, I have this. The single leg deadlift, guess what? We're gonna do the same thing on one leg. I'm tall, hips are aligned, kick that hip, leg back behind, hinge over as low as I can, come back up tall. The things I wanna avoid is rounding through the back, dropping this way, or not being balanced first. A lot of times if I start in two legs and immediately drop down, it gets a little ugly. So find that balance, hinge over, everything's level, I'm good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and get 10 of those squats. I'm then gonna go ahead and get 10 single leg deadlifts per leg. I'm gonna do that 3 to 5 times. That's a little example of some strength work I can do that's gonna build that range of motion, build that stability and that balance that I need to be a strong runner. Guys, one more thing. We really hope you enjoyed this marathon training tips video. And if you did, we actually want to give you a complete downloadable marathon training guide, totally comprehensive, everything you need to know about training for a marathon all in one place. All you need to do to get it is to click this link in this video. If you happen to be on a mobile device, don't worry. Click the link down in the description. It's gonna take you to a page. All you need to do is enter your name and your email, and I'll be able to personally send you that guide. You'll be able to read it, you'll be able to put those tips in action, and you'll be running with a big smile on your face. Now, speaking of smile on your face, if you like this video, go ahead and let us know. Hit that like button. If you have any comments or questions on some of those topics we started to dig into on today, go ahead and hit us up in the comments section. And if you want more of the run experience in your life, more run tips, strength exercise videos, injury prevention, little strategies, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, The Run Experience. You will get it. We pumping out material all the time. And guys, thank you again so much for watching this video. We'll catch you in the next one.